What's up, YouTube? It's your boy JB, and I'm here tonight with a review from Greenleaf. This is season 4, episode number 4, I believe. And the episode was titled A Common Enemy. And a common enemy it is, with multiple people in this episode. But without further ado, you guys, we're going to go ahead and just jump into tonight's video. Alright, you guys, so the episode, it opened up, we see Bob. Bob is in Grace's office, and he's telling Grace about this church that he wants, for Grace to go talk to the pastor there, so that way that they can integrate and fold the church into Calvary, because this church is not doing too well. And I guess what Bob means by it's not doing too well, it's not making enough money for Bob's liking. So Bob wants Grace to meet with the pastor, like I said, so that way that they can bring the church into the fold of Calvary. And as he's walking out, walking out of Grace's office, he says, "Oh yeah, and they're a white church, by the way." I'm like, so you want a white church to come into an all-black church? When it comes to a white and black church, the way the churches are ran, the way the preachers preach, is completely different. With a white preacher, you just get a basic standard word. With a black preacher, you get the word, you get a story, you get everything behind it. And even the music is different when it comes to a black and white church. So I'm like, so you really want these white people to come to this black church and be culture shocked? Cool. Not here for it. So then, as Bob is leaving Grace's office, he's intercepted by Phil. And, Bob tells Phil, like, hey, Grace is going to meet with Cal. He's like, oh, so do you want me to go, with her? He says, no. He says, what you can do is, that July 4th sermon that you have for me, can you tweak it? Because it just doesn't sound like me. I'm like, oh, Phil, you got to be so molded, because you trying so hard with Bob, but Bob is, ducking, dodging, all of that stuff. Like, he's curving you, like, for real. Like, come on, you got to realize that you are nothing but a puppet to him. So then we see Grace. So Grace is with AJ, and AJ has now moved down to Memphis, and she has an apartment with him. She doesn't have an apartment with him. She's got him an apartment, and she's decorating the apartment. She has a welcome mat. He's like, who's gonna come over here? She says, me, for one. And he's cooking, and she was like, oh, where'd you learn to cook? He says, I did not learn to cook in prison. She's like, well, I didn't think that. He says, contrary to what people might believe, he said, I actually learned how to cook because one of my foster families, the dad, he was a chef, so that's how I learned to cook. And I actually really do feel bad for him. Like, I don't know what to think. Like, when it comes down to AJ and Grace, she's doing some of the things that she's really equivalent to Lady May. Like, Lady May wants her to be so quiet about this whole Lionel situation, and here Grace is being quiet about this AJ situation. So Lady May and Grace are not too different from one another. They're cut from the same cloth, to be honest with you. So then we see Grace. She goes up to her. She's at her room, and she hears somebody rumbling in her room, and she's like, who's there? And then we see that it's Sophia's back. And Sophia's like, I'm here to meet my brother. She's like, so you guys have been in contact? She's like, yes, we've been in contact with one another. And, she tells Grace that I'm not going to lie for you. And, Grace is telling her she's like, I'm not going to lie for you. And Grace tells her the reason why she's holding off is because, the hope and harmony and stuff. And she just wants to wait until the church is back into the family's, hands. Which I'm thinking to myself, but even still, once it's back into the family's hands, like, y'all got two secrets. One, you're Lionel's daughter. Two, you got a son with Noah that you had out of wedlock. So, and with a shark like Connie, Connie's gonna use everything she has to still try to get you. Even if it's not harmony and hope, Connie is gonna do whatever she can. She does not want the Greenleaf family in that church. And when she finds out about you, you know how Connie feels about Lady May. Connie's gonna look at you just like she looks at Lady May. So I don't understand what Grace's whole mind frame is. And I think it's like, you could at least tell your family, because you got a snake that is slithering around in the grass. You got a snake that's slithering around in the Garden of Eden, basically, in Charity. And we're going to get on Charity in a little bit. So then we see Grace. She is meeting with Cal, and Cal is like, "So you guys really want us to come to the church?" And Grace is just talking to him, and they're having a conversation about it. So from what I was able to see, it was the fact that you know Cal doesn't want to do it no more than Grace wants it done, and they were talking about, he said he had offered some more churches to Bob, but Bob told him to get back on the paper, and I'm like, get back on the paper. So does that mean get back on the money? Like for Bob, this is all about money, 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 and that's the one thing about mega churches I just cannot deal with. When you have just a regular church that's not a mega church, they're able to focus on their parishioners. They're not all about money, bottom line, you know, the board. Like, you guys understand what I'm saying? But Bob is all about money. That's all Bob is. Money, 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 money. He doesn't care about, God. He's just focused on his money. All right, so next we see Jacob and Carissa. So they're meeting with the people who have put out the offer for the land that is across the street from Calvary. And, it appears that Carissa has talked Jacob into selling his land. Although in last week's episode, you guys remember, Bishop told him it's better to have, do what the white people have done for years. Keep your land. But no, Jacob is folding to Carissa. Like, you are letting Carissa run everything. Yes, I get it. Carissa, owns a little bit of it too. But you could tell Carissa, I talked to my dad. My dad said it would be better for us to hold on to this instead of actually selling this. Again, she might make a big fuss about it, but just point out all the good things about having that damn land. I don't mean to say, I don't want to say, well, it's in the Bible, so I don't care. But Jacob, 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 Jacob. That is why Carissa runs over you now, because you allow her to. Once Jacob is able to put his foot down and just say, Carissa, no, then she'll probably shut up. But until then, not Grace, but Jacob is going to let Carissa completely run over him. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Carissa later in the video. But there was one thing that Carissa noticed about the guy. He had some cufflinks that caught her eyes. And we're going to talk about the significance of those cufflinks a little later. So stick around and we'll talk about those cufflinks. Okay, so next we got Bishop. So Bishop, he's getting off the phone with somebody and he's telling, Lady Mae that they said hello. It's like, who is that? And he tells her who it is. And then he also tells her that they want him to come down to their church in Atlanta to do, a guest spot at the church. And she's like, do you think that's a good idea? Like, right now we're trying to get our church back that we lost. So do you really believe that that is a good idea? And he's like, May, it's just one appearance. And then Grace comes in and, Grace tells them that, she had an interesting conversation with Bob. And, she was telling them about how he wants to fold in the white church to Calvary. And, Bishop and May are like, does the board know anything about this? And, Lady Mae says, no, she doesn't believe the board knows anything about this. She says, not even Connie knows anything about this. Connie's all about bringing in people, but she doesn't feel like Connie would bring, a white church to a black church, which I don't know. Because Connie is a hard one. I mean, Connie went ahead and brought in Harmony and Hope, which is a white church. And we're going to talk about Harmony and Hope in a little bit. But Harmony and Hope is a white church. So I don't think Connie would do anything. I don't think Connie would say anything unless if it hurts the pocketbooks, maybe. But if it helps the pocketbooks, I'm thinking Connie would be in all agreements for it. But that's just my personal opinion. So then we see May, So yeah, Lady Mae doesn't want the white church there. So, Bishop says that basically all Bob is worried about is money, which I just said that. Bob is worried about the money. That's all it is. So then, Bishop is telling Grace that it's not going to work. A black preacher preaching to white people, which I agree with that. So Grace says, she'll meet with Cal and she'll let them know how things went. So Bishop is, May is like, are you still thinking about going to that church? He says, May, it's just one day. So then we see Lady Mae. She calls Corinne and, she's asking Corinne, like, who is managing Bob's schedule I think for the weekend or whatever. And Corinne says it's her. She says, good. So then we do see Lady May. She is printing her transcripts from her day with Lady May. And then Carissa comes in. And Carissa, she was getting ready to print some stuff for the school. And, she says that she's having a meeting with Phil DeMars about the school. And May is like, you're meeting with Phil DeMars? She says yes. So then Lady May says, Bishop was telling me that, you and Jacob were thinking about selling the land across the street from Calvary. She says, oh, yes, we already have an offer on it. She's like, I guess that conversation with Bishop didn't really help my son at all. No, May, it didn't. With that thing next to him, she's going to run Jacob and make Jacob do what she wants to do. Like, I don't understand. Carissa literally irks my spirit, works my nerves. She just gets on it each and every week. Her and that god-awful Charity. I'm trying to think of something nice to say without cussing. But that god-awful Charity. Oh, my God. And we're going to talk about Charity in just a minute. But, excuse me. So then we see May. She's meeting with Bob. And, she's just telling Bob about her concerns about, them trying to fold in a white church to a black church. And she tells him the significance of what the church means to the black people. But again, Bob doesn't really 100% care about that. All Bob is concerned about is money. But he's also concerned, he's like, well, since the world is so integrated now, why don't we bring the church, the white church, and the black church together? You cannot do that. You have to, like I said before, when it comes to, I don't know another way to say it, but I think when it comes to us black people versus white people, we worship in different ways. Like, literally we do. Like, because I've had some, because I've had some white friends come to, oh, no, scratch that. It was a funeral. I think it was my mom's funeral. Yes. It's somebody in my family. I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was my mom or my grandmother, because we have some, we have some white friends in our family. And, when it came to the funeral, and, it's just a different, it's weird for, because you can look at their face. You know how, like, when we're in church, we played it, we got the music going. And, when you feel the Holy Ghost, you just get up and you just start, you praise him. And you got Sally sit next to you, and Sally doesn't know, what should I do? Like, when you catch the spirit, you just got to get up and you just got to, let it go. And like I said, when Sally is sitting next to you, Sally don't know, is he okay? Should I call the cops? Should I call, for help? Like, they don't know what to do. So I definitely got where May was coming from. We do things differently than what is in the white church. And again, it's going to come up later in this episode, and I'm going to talk about it. But like I said, all Phil is concerned about, not Phil, but Bob. All Bob is concerned about is the almighty dollar. And that's really sad. That's all you're concerned about is the almighty dollar, as opposed to praising the Lord. That's what you go to church for. You go to church to, get, I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to move on. All right, you guys, so let's get over to the next two people who really get on my nerves. That is Phil and Charity. So Phil goes to Charity's office, and, he's telling her, like, hey, I need you to give me something big on Grace, because if you don't give me something big on Grace, that means me nor you will be able to preach in this church. But I hope you don't get anything big, because I want both of you out. I want I want Charity out right with Phil. Like, I know Charity's a part of the family, but Charity can go right along with Phil and Bob. Once the family gets the church back, let's exile Charity. Please and thank you. So we see Phil in his office, and he's working on this sermon for Bob. And I'm like, wow, you are really this man's slave and lackey. Like, you ain't got no spine, no backbone. Okay, cool. So then we see Phil, he's talking to Carissa. And he's talking about the school, and he's like, okay, I'll take this to Bob, and I'll see what Bob wants to say. Like, everything has to go to Bob, huh? You ain't got no say-so? Not a 1, a 2, or a 3. Wow. That's sad. That is really sad, my friend. So, Carissa notices that Phil has on the same kind of cufflinks as the guy that, has the offer for the land. She asks him, like, where did you get those cufflinks? Like, I would love to get some of those for Jacob. He says, "Oh, these cufflinks? You know, I've been working for Bob for about 4 or 5 years now, and Bob had them custom made for me." I'm like, "Oh, wow, Carissa, you are selling the land to Harmony and Hope. Like, are you freaking kidding me? No, you're not." And then she goes and she calls the girl that's helping her with the real, selling it, and she's like, "Can I, I want to find out who is behind the offer." I'm like, "Carissa, you don't really need an answer for that. You know the answer. Those cufflinks, custom made. If they're custom made, you know what that means. Custom made. Bob Whitmore made them for Phil, and he made them for the guy that has the land, which means Hope, Harmony, and Hope are behind this." Like, Carissa is so stupid, but she gets on my nerves. Oh God, Carissa gets on my last nerve. Good grief. So then we see Charity. She goes up to Corinne, and she says she met someone special. And Corinne's like, "Oh, Phil DeMar." She's like, "Phil? I don't like Phil. I hate Phil. I don't really hate Phil." Like, girl, shut up. Shut up. So then, she says, "No, I found someone special for Grace. But I want to know if she's taken or if she's single. She's still with Darius." Corinne was like, "I don't know. Like, ask Grace." She's like, "But you want her schedule. Does she have any? Is she seeing anybody? Is she seeing Darius? Everything's over with Darius. I don't know." She says, "What about Noah? Noah's here." And Corinne tells her, "I don't know about that either." So then we see Charity. She dips off into her office, and she calls Noah, and she leaves a voicemail on the answer machine. I'm like, "Oh my God, you low down, dirty snake." Talking about, "Hello, hey Noah. I'm so upset that you came to the church the last time and you didn't say anything to me. Bye." Like, are you serious? You know that Isabel is going to get that message. You know that. You could have called him on his cell phone. Obviously, you called a landline. Wow. People still have landlines? Wow. We're going to move on. All right, you guys. So next, at Calvary, aka Harmony and Hope, we have Bob's daughter there singing that god awful song with Charity. I'm like, what is this? But thank God for Grace and her sermon, because that sermon made up for that horrible song that we had to sit there and listen to. I'm like, what is this that I am listening to? Can somebody spare my ears the pain of listening to this dang song? For real. Like, please and thank you. So, where am I at? So once it's over, Bishop and May, they go outside to, tell Grace, "Good job." Give her a pat on the back. And then that do-gooder Phil comes up, or that brown noser Phil comes up and feels like, "Bob wants to meet with you in my office." She's like, "In your office?" He's like, "Yes." So Grace goes to his office, and Bob is just basically telling her, like, "What you did on that stage, not here. Like, you get paid by Harmony and Hope. Your role, Harmony and Hope. Your desk, Harmony and Hope. Your office, Harmony and Hope. Everything here is Harmony and Hope, not Greenleaf, not Calvary, but Harmony and Hope." I'm like, "Oh, okay." No one cares, Bob. Like, go away, please. Oh God. And then she's talking about how Cal says he does not want to merge, and Bob, honest to God, doesn't care. So then to wrap this episode up, Noah calls Grace, and he tells her that Isabel threw him out because, she now knows that they have a child because Charity called and left that dang voicemail. He tells Grace, and Grace's like, "So what are you going to do?" He's like, "I'm moving back to get to know my son." I'm like, "Ooh, Grace. So now you are really going to have to tell everybody what is going on. Like, you have to explain to them why Noah's back. And then, oh, this is going to be juicy. But it's all because of Charity. God, I can't stand her. So then Carissa finds out who was behind the offer on the land, and it is none other than Harmony and Hope. And it appears that this dumb nut is still going to sell the land. And exactly what I said. So we see her and Jacob, they're there at the office, and they're signing it. She looks like she's reluctant to sign it, but then she does sign it. I'm like, So you're just selling your soul to the devil himself, huh, Carissa? Okay. Good luck with that one, sis. Good luck with that one. But you guys, that was the episode. Be sure to like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so that you guys know when I'm dropping another video, and share the video. And I will see you guys later.